Welcome to Getting Cloud Right, the series dedicated to helping you find your path to the cloud. Today we're talking about cloud storage and some of the pitfalls you may not be aware of. We're also going to discuss an alternative of private cloud storage and some of the benefits that might offer to your enterprise. Joining me today is Pete Bry. Pete is HP Helion Product Marketing Manager. And also with me is Jeff Denworth, Senior VP of Marketing for Cetera. Pete, why don't you start off by telling me your role at HP?
Thanks, Michael. So I work as part of the Helion team at HP, where we're busy developing cloud solutions. And specifically what I'm responsible for is developing cloud storage solutions that we're going to talk about here today.
Okay, great. And Jeff?
SVP of Marketing at Cetera Networks, a cloud storage startup, and I run marketing globally for the company.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both for joining me today. Pete, why don't you start off by giving me some background on the issues that are related to using a SaaS cloud storage service?
Well, what we're finding is organizations are experiencing some pains with the proliferation of mobile device technology and collaboration technology that goes along with that. And the goal here is really around enabling productivity in their organizations. I want to be able to access my data whenever and wherever I see fit to be able to get my job done.
Right.
But the problem with these technologies is the security. How can you ensure that the data that's being stored in these systems is secure, it's auditable, it's compliant? And that's really the big challenge that we're going to talk about today.
This has got to be a challenge for the IT people who are in there. Do they even know that all these things are going on, is the question.
You know, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. In fact, there's some new research that just came out from Osterman Research that talks about 40% of the organizations out there understand that this is a problem, that their employees are using consumer-grade services for storing this types of data.
Jeff, so why is this a problem for enterprises to use things like Dropbox or Box.com?
Well, there's a variety of reasons. There's things that we know, and then there's things that we know we don't know.
Okay.
And so for things that we know, as Pete was referencing about people bringing their own SaaS solutions to work, we did a survey in conjunction with an independent research house. They went out to about 300 enterprises, and what they found is that about 35% of the organizations that responded said that they're sure that they've lost data through the kind of the unsanctioned use of SaaS in their environment. And so, so we kind of see two waves of adoption in this space. One is people bring whatever they want to work, and usually that's at a departmental level where people want to make their jobs more productive. And then the other is, the next wave that's come up is now that these tools are popularized, IT comes in and says, we need to get this under control.
Right.
And so they'll hook up these services to, let's say, their Active Directory systems, and they can make sure that as users leave, their data doesn't necessarily travel with them. And so then you get into the unknown knowns, which is things like who's managing your data. And this is where certain public cloud SaaS services, even if they're used in a sanctioned way with Active Directory, they really don't pass the sniff test enterprise-wide for a lot of companies. So one of the key downfalls in this case is really where the data is being held, where the metadata is being held, where the authentication is happening. And there's a big, big driver to all of this being done within the firewall going forward, now that these tools are popularized.
Well, on top of that, there's a performance issue, isn't there? I mean, because depending on where you are, you may not have the bandwidth to get what you want out of a cloud service.
Location has, it's a double bogey on that one, right? So first is, there's a lot of organizations, either international, that don't want their data in a certain country's data center. The other issue is that US-based organizations, they may have international outposts where they're equally bound at in other countries to certain data privacy laws. Countries like Canada, Germany, China, France are really, really strict with respect to data privacy. But then when that data's, let's say an organization says, it's okay, we can get around that. Then you have this whole notion of what is the remote office experience like? And historically, people, I mean, this stuff isn't new, file sharing or collaboration, right? It's the evolution of things like SharePoint, file servers and home directories or even FTP servers. And so as people move beyond this and they move to cloud-based models, you have to think about the people at the edge of the network.
Right.
And if you're in Indonesia or if you're in some place that doesn't have quality bandwidth, you can't sacrifice the worker's productivity model because you want to move to a more modern file sharing solution.
So Pete, whenever I talk to anyone in IT, the first topic that they always bring up is security. What kind of a security threat do these file share services put on the enterprise?
I think there's multiple aspects to the security threat. One is just from a more fundamental standpoint, is the data encrypted? There's many different ways that data can be stolen, whether it's traveling over the wire or whether it's at rest on disk drives. So that's the most fundamental level. But then there's also security concerns around compliance and auditing. And what I mean by this is, say you're a CIO and you have a need to understand where company-sensitive data is being stored. I like to call this repatriation,
right.
If in case I need to actually pull that data back. For instance, if I'm in a regulated industry and I am involved in a lawsuit, for instance, I need to repatriate that data. And that's a big issue for organizations.
On top of it, I mean, there are encryption keys you can get, right? I've heard that some of these organizations offer that kind of encryption. Are there any challenges to that kind of encryption base, versus what we use in our own data centers?
Absolutely. There's big issues with that in terms of how the keys are generated and how they're provided to you. With many public cloud storage services that provide that type of a service where they'll generate the keys for you, that can be vulnerable to attack.
Okay. So, Jeff, these seem like big issues. Are enterprises really aware of all of these issues?
They are. It's a growing concern. There was a report last week done at the Black Hat conference that basically socialized the whole notion that you can get to Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive data without even having a password, right? And that's a big concern for organizations that are focused on protecting their IP or maintaining some sort of regulatory compliance. These waves of adoption of the services has also kind of changed who's in the driver's seat for all this style of products. And whereas previously it was like a line of business person that had a credit card, now the IT organization is being given the charter to make decisions for the whole spectrum of data privacy considerations that happen across the enterprise. So, if we're marketing guys, right? And
right.
We're not holding employee data or anything like that, but an HR organization is bound by an entirely different set of privacy regulations. So organizations now are thinking that they need to adopt solutions that are appropriate for the whole spectrum of requirements within an organization. It really starts with a private solution.
Got it. And so there are alternatives, and a private solution is one of them, Pete. Before we go into what the solutions are, can you spend a little time just talking to me about what a private cloud storage solution is?
Sure. And we can talk about this particular context too, where we're talking about file sync and share services.
Let's really try and contrast that between the public and private.
Absolutely. So if you think about the services that are provided from a public cloud solution like that, the ability to synchronize my files, to use them on different mobile devices and share them with other people, now take those services and all of the problems that we just talked about around security, solving that problem by bringing it inside my firewall in a private cloud solution. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about here is, the turnkey solution that we've worked together with Cetera to build as a private cloud solution that you can deploy behind your firewall.
So, what we're looking for, I guess, is that you get the goodness of the public cloud.
Exactly. All of those, the benefits of all those features that give you the collaboration and that give you the productivity gains, but now bringing that into control so that I, as an IT manager, know that I can ensure compliance and I can ensure the security of the system.
So this comes down to data management, really. And Jeff, Cetera has a data management solution that's built upon the foundation of HP Helion. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we actually do more than file sync and share. We make a platform. We call this the Enterprise File Services Platform. And think of this as a suite of tools that organizations can use to sync, to share, to store, to protect, and then IT managers can use to govern their data. All of this is done from a single system that is deployable 100% within your own private cloud. And because we're really enabling the IT as a service model, first and foremost, we build everything on software-defined infrastructure. And that's where the HP Helion partnership comes in. We're leveraging things like the HP Content Depot object storage to store all the data. We're implementing our middleware on OpenStack infrastructure that's very, very scalable. We use things like Cloud Service Automation Suite to build either internal service catalogs that organizations can use to fire up the apps and users can self-provision, or for service providers that want to take actually a public cloud solution out to market or a hybrid cloud solution out to market, they can use CSA for that. And then finally, at the edge of the network, we build these little appliances that really allow you to extend the capabilities of the cloud to the remote and branch office. So that user in Jakarta can...
For the bandwidth impaired.
They can get to their files at land speed, right? And they don't have to worry about bandwidth issues.
Right.
And we just at HP Discover showcased that we can implement this on a ProLiant class server. So an end-to-end solution built on HP infrastructure that we're enabling kind of the remote branch office and user collaboration suite on.
So let's, Pete, talk about that HP component of it, the HP Helion offering and how that is so critical to what it is that Cytera offers.
Absolutely. So Helion is the underpinning of this whole solution. And what Helion is HP's distribution of OpenStack. So it's all of the goodness and the openness about OpenStack, but with all of the HP value-added features that we've put into OpenStack to make it really simple and easy to deploy and really easy to manage on an ongoing basis. But what we've done is we've taken Helion, OpenStack, and HP hardware, bundled it together with Cytera software in a turnkey solution. And why is this important? It's really important because we've gone through all the steps of testing the solution, making sure that it's going to work. And I'm sure as you sit here and you listen to us talk about this, you're thinking, wow, this is a pretty complex thing. Can I do this myself? You don't have to worry about it. We've done all the work
It's all
ahead of time.
pre-integrated.
Exactly. So you can drop it into your environment. You can be up and running very quickly.
That makes it easier. I mean, because that's really the benefit of cloud anything, right? Is you want to get that fast provisioning, you want to get that fast time to market. So having a pre-integrated solution is huge. So why don't we take a look at it? You know, we've heard about the different components of it. Let's see it at work.
Sure, sure. So I have a little demo environment set up here. I think I do. So there's two little demos we're going to do here today. First, we're going to walk you through the administrative aspects of the system, and then we're going to drill down and show you the user aspects of the system. So here I'm in an HP infrastructure environment here. We've got a little, what we call our portal software, which is our orchestration and management suite, hpcterra.cterra.me. And what you first see when you get into the system is that you have different levels of kind of management that's made available. It's a fully multi-tenant system that enables organizations to take a solution out where the tenancy basically defines the security realms as well as the data management realms. And so really quickly, there's some things that you can see here around, I've got a number of different tenants in the system. And of course, this is all built on, with our storage node connectors, we've married that directly into the HP Helion OpenStack Swift Content Depot products so that we use their APIs natively, and that's for both performance and simplicity purposes.
So the key takeaway is you could take this and use it either to create a multi-tenant environment if you're a service provider, or each one of these tenants could be a department, say if you're in an enterprise.
Exactly, exactly. Or just a project team that needs something really, I mean, we're in the Bay Area, right? And there are project teams working on really secret stuff all day long, and maybe you want them to have only access to their own encrypted environment. So we can do that, of course, and all that's within your firewall.
Got it.
And then so, of course, there's all sorts of things like logging where you can see what the system's doing, you can also see what the administrators are doing, and you can also see what the users are doing, so you have a really fine degree of granularity around the solution.
And that's important for reporting and auditing and all that.
Sure, sure, and real-time monitoring of bad behaviors, which is really what everybody's trying to get to with this. And then so if I go down one level into our tenant, if you will, we'll call this the HPC tenant, you can see that you can provision users pretty easily. These are a bunch of users that we've got in the system. Users are provisioned either manually, I can set up an account, or I can just hook these AD groups into the system and they automatically get provisioned.
Cool.
Everything's totally automated, so you can create service plans where that pushes configuration changes or quota changes or license changes out to a group of individuals or groups of individuals en masse. And yeah, that's probably about it for the admin console. So let's take a look at the actual user solution. As you know, these solutions have to be as simple as consumer-grade products if they're going to get adopted within the enterprise. So that's where we start. The solution can be entirely white-labeled, which is important not only for service providers that want to take their own brand out to market, but also for enterprises that are trying to drive adoption of their product and say, this is the sanctioned solution that we have. So, so in our case, we've labeled it Cetera. That's the company I work with, white-labeled specifically for me. And so it starts with a file management experience that we call a cloud drive. You can hold your backups here. We also offer endpoint backup software as part of what we make. You hold your files here, as well as projects that you participate in. We call this shared with me. So if I drill into the files section here, I have a fair amount of HP-specific content. So I've got a preview mechanism here, so you don't have to download everything into your own desktop. You just get access to files. You can edit files via web browsers. This is an HP Content Depot solution sheet that we made together with Pete, actually. So you can do all sorts of things with the solution. So in this case, I've got a link to a folder. It's called HP Stuff. I can copy this link. I can make this link available via different permissions. I can set expiration dates on it, and I can remove the link. I can also enable collaboration. So I can add Pete to my collaborators list, and because he is not within my company, he's going to be shown as an external user. We still enable secure collaboration with external users as well. You remember the iCloud hack where they had the authentication issue. They advised that everybody use two-factor authentication. I can set that up so that when he gets an email saying you've got a service, he needs to verify that he actually is who he says he is. We can make him a read-only, or we can make him a read-write participant in a collaboration space. And it's all pretty simple. And this is things that users can do for ad hoc projects and things like this. Of course, security policies always override the users, so if they're not allowed to share something externally, we've got that covered. And it really covers everything from mobile devices to desktops to laptops to even servers that we support, and then we've got browser-based access. In the desktops, we've got an agent that allows you to really right-click on everything and just manage your files very naturally, but all of that syncs to the cloud.
It looks really simple. I mean, it looks intuitive, and it looks like the kind of thing that people would adopt because it's just easy to use. So, Pete and Jeff, what are the key takeaways for our viewers today?
Well, I think, first of all, recognizing you've got the problem. That's like 90% of the battle. And let's face it, employees just want to be productive. And so recognizing that the problem exists and that it's out there and it probably is present in your organization is really the first step.
Yeah, and then as you think about addressing these problems, it's really, really important to have a number of different constituents at the table, right? So we're talking today mostly to IT managers, but these decisions aren't made by one specific group within an organization. You need to bring together the security teams, the mobility teams. You need to bring together, of course, the IT organization. And then finally, the lines of business where you can identify the use cases as well as the points of intersection, even from applications that they use internally, so that you can make these projects really successful so that users aren't encouraged to go find solutions elsewhere.
Great.
And that's a really key point too, talking about use cases. There are lots of different types of use cases that can use this type of a solution. And so, you know, the old saying about, I have a hammer and everything's a nail, that's definitely not the case here. You really need to understand those use cases. Maybe your marketing department is working with product roadmaps and your finance department is obviously working with SEC data. So there's different use cases, there are different data types, and you need to have a solution in place that can address all of those different requirements.
And then once you've got that in place, then you need to think about all the places around the world that want to access this type of solution and figuring out the right architecture that extends the power of the cloud to the people that most need it and most depend upon it so that you're not compromising their productivity while you're adding productivity tools to their daily business. That's really important.
So that's a lot to think about, and there are a lot more resources at our disposal. Pete, tell me about the Content Depot for those who are looking to find out a little bit more about this.
Absolutely. So, you mentioned it's a lot to think about, and what we've done together with Cetera is we've bundled together a solution. Part of that solution is Helion OpenStack, but also our Content Depot offering, which is a cloud object storage package solution of hardware and software that you can rapidly deploy into your environment. We've gone one step further together with Cetera and built a private cloud solution using Cetera software together with Content Depot to be able to address all the problems that we talked about today.
Great. So our viewers can visit that URL to find out more about that. And also, Jeff, you're offering an opportunity for our viewers to take a trial of this.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a private cloud storage as a service solution that is built on Helion technology, and we've made a trial environment available so that you can get access to not only the user experience, but we also make available access for a trial administrator experience. So we'll give you a tenant to the system, and you can play with it to your heart's content and not even have to talk to either of us.
And so our viewers will be able to visit both those URLs to find out more.
Sure.
Thank you both for being here today. For HP Helion, this is Michael Krieger.